Indeed, I am delighted to have the opportunity to stand this morning to my dear friend and mentor and brother and king of this house and God's angel, the one and only Bishop Watts. Let's celebrate God for him. He's correct. He had knowledge of me before I had knowledge of the Lord. And in those early days, he probably questioned, even after I had knowledge of the Lord, if I really had knowledge of the Lord. And so I thank him. No other one person has done as much for me in my ministry as Bishop Watts. And I thank God for him, When Mother Watts was alive, he would call me and say, Stallworth, you messed up so badly this time. I got Mama praying for you too. And to his lovely wife, the queen of this house, God bless you. Yeah, God bless you. And to Mr. President, thank you so much for this honor. Let us thank God for the president of this Southeastern Ministry Alliance. And to the mayor and to the congressmen and to other elected officials who are present. And to my colleague, thank God for your representative, Representative Nolan. As a freshman in Hartford, I was told that freshmen are to be seen and not heard. All right. So the first day he arrived, he's up pressing his button to talk. I said, man, you didn't get the notice. You don't have anything to say yet. When we'll tell you when we want you to speak. But he's indeed a great fighter, and I thank God for his fellowship and for his support. And for the Shiloh Church, always good to be here at Shiloh. I have to always remember when I'm at Shiloh that I'm preaching to saved folk. I'm at East End. We're not as saved as y'all are up here. So see, Dr. Watt's sister on the front row could be a member of Shiloh, but the one on the back row could be a member of East End. She could have been a founding member. I'm gonna have to pay for that too. I'm just talking a little. Let this thing calm down, some baby. That's what I'm doing. Just let it calm down. I was born in the South before we had nice facilities, and my mom would always put some hot water in a tub, and said, "Boy, don't get in that yet. Stir around in it and then let it cool down some." So I'm just letting it cool down. Also, it's grateful to have Brother G and his wife and family from the East End Church worshiping with us here today. Amen. And thank God for all of you. And let me just jump in, and you stay close, because if it doesn't go well, I'm going to tell you to start playing. But two texts I want to lift up in these moments. Two texts I want to lift up in these moments. One from the book of Deuteronomy, and the other one from the life of Dr. King. Deuteronomy 34, verses 1 through 5. Then Moses climbed Mount Nebo from the plains of Moab to the top of Pisgah, across from Jericho. There the Lord showed him the whole land, from Gilead to Dan, to all of Naphtali, the territory of Ephraim and Manasseh, and all the land of Judah, as far as the Mediterranean Sea, the Negev, and the whole region from the valley of Jericho, the city of Psalms, as far as Zorah. Then the Lord said to him, "This is the land that I promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, when I said I would give it to your descendants. I have let you see it with your eyes, but you will not cross over into it. I've let you see it with your eyes. You have seen it from this mountain." And then from the life for Dr. King from his speech in Memphis before his death, in which he says, well, I don't know what would happen now. Got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. And I don't mind, like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And he's allowed me to go to the mountain. And I've looked over. And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to that promised land. For our time together, I want to talk about mountaintop moments. Mountaintop moments. These texts I read are experiences from the lives of two liberators, two fighters, two justice seekers, and two persons endeavor to speak freedom to a people whose lives have been burdened with injustice and ungodly activities. These two, Moses and the Reverend Dr. Martin King, two giants, maybe not in physical stature, but giants in work, sacrifice, and honor. These are the experiences of two leaders in different locations at different times, but yet suffering and struggling and seeking freedom from the same old evils. Moses leads his people out of Egypt with an ever-echoing voice informing him that as you go and those needs arise, I will be all that I need to be. Dr. King leads his people through Selma, Montgomery, and Birmingham with an echo ringing not in his ear, but in his heart that says, Martin, stand up for righteousness. Stand up for justice. And lo, I will be with you even when you have to face dogs, fire hoses, billy clubs, paddy wagons, and jail cells. These are two giants, two leaders leading at the call of God. Moses faces Pharaoh, who cannot remember Joseph. Dr. King faces Bull Connor and Mayor Smitterman, who cannot remember the nannies who raised their kids and the people who picked their cotton and stripped their sugar cane for harvesting. These are two liberators. Moses leads his people whose backs have been burdened to make brick without straw. And Dr. King leads his people whose backs have been burdened by working from sunup to sundown, drenched in pain, frustrated and disrespected. These two giants, these two liberators, Moses leading while speaking hope until people whose babies had been killed and dreams had been shattered. And Dr. King speaking hope to a people whose babies are now being held back by poorly performing schools, mass incarceration, voter suppression, or not being able to vote at all. Moses and Dr. King, two freedom fighters, two giants of grace, two leaders of liberation existing at different times in different locations with different people, yet each fighting for the cause of justice. You see, the struggle for justice is a draining struggle. Trying to overcome racism and sexism and homophobia. A struggle that drains the very strength of liberators. Because when you fight for justice, you get exhausted. Warriors get tired. Saints get stressed. Fighters get fatigued. Women get winded. Men get mad. And children get downright confused. Like the gauge on an automobile, we get tired and we get wounded. And most of us who are freedom fighters and seekers of justice know what it feels like for our gauge to get empty. We know what it feels like to get tired of being tired. We get tired. Moses got tired. Moses said, I cannot take this anymore. These are your people. I'm tired of them. Moses' gauge was low. Dr. King got exhausted. Sat in his kitchen, and in that kitchen had a moment that he discovered that would keep happening in his life. Because when we get tired and weary, when we fight for justice and feel like we're drained and nobody's helping, God gives us what we can look at as mountaintop moments. My mama, yes, my mama who's home with the Lord now, didn't have the language to describe mountaintop moments, but she said it this way: I can just be driving in my car, not talking to anybody, not in conversation with anybody. Just in that moment, I can feel the power of God coming up in my life, telling me to keep marching forward, telling me not to give up. You see, mountaintop moments are those moments when God will revive us, in which God will restore us, in which God will put us back on the battleground. Mountaintop moments are the moments that keep us doing what we're doing. Because all of us get exhausted. All of us get tired. And so I've asked myself, preacher, what happens on the mountain? How are those moments able to revive us? How are those moments able to restore us? What happens on the mountains that will make us keep going? Well, first of all, mountaintop moments are moments of visibility. Seeing things as they really are. Visibility is the state of being able to see or to be seen. Visibility is that distance so you could see out. Last week I was in Dallas, and came back from Dallas and went through my hometown, and flew into, the city that had the airport that was nearest my hometown, because that's how we do it, because ain't no airport in my hometown. There's no airport near my hometown. You just have to do the best you can. And I rented a car to drive to my hometown, and I discovered on some of those back roads I was going like 30 and 40 miles an hour. Not that the car didn't run, but because the fog was everywhere, and I could not see. I had a visibility problem. You see, what Dr. King was trying to get this nation to recognize is that you have a visibility problem. You have a visibility problem. Dr. King Mountaintop experience allowed him to see that America had a visibility problem. She saw one thing and called it something else. America saw young African American men standing on the street corner and called them lazy. Why? Because she had a visibility problem. America looked out and saw people in minorities, communities having babies as if they didn't have anything else to do. Why? Because she had a visibility problem. America looked out and saw people marching over a bridge in Selma, down the street in Birmingham, and behind trash cans in Memphis, and said they just want to be like us and have our country. Why? Because they had a visibility problem. She could not see that the young men were on the street corners because they did not have jobs to go to. She could not see that people who were bracing it and trying to have love were not having babies because they had more Cialis than anybody else, but they were trying to inspire hope and trying to inspire a life that would keep them going. King told America over and over again, you have a visibility problem. Because when we get to the mountaintop moments allow us to see the reality that people are still dying for a lack of preventive care and proper health care. They are still being hindered from a productive life due to mental issues that go untreated. They are not just filling their liver with liquor and their veins with drugs. It's more complicated with that. And if America is ever to get better, she must look out and see the real issues that are going on. Mountaintop moments are moments of visibility in which we have to recognize we had one president that many wouldn't look up to because of his color. And now we got a president that all of us got to dumb down to. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Mountaintop moments are moments, visibility in which we can see things as they are. But not only are mountaintop moments moments of visibility, but mountaintop moments are also moments of vision. Seeing things not just as they are, but how they can become. Visibility allows us to see the real issues, not glossed over. But vision allows us to see how things can become. Oh, I know what it looks like. I know how rough it can be. I know how tough it can be. But when we come to the mountain and when we share in those mountaintop moments, we take on the attitude of a chameleon. Not just being able to change, but the chameleon has the ability to take one eye and see one thing and take the other eye and see something else. And Dr. King was able to stand on the mountaintop, and with one eye could see one thing, but with his other eye he could see something else. King led a people from different races and locations and imparted in them a sense of vision. They did not only see lynchings, but they also saw an experience that made them sing up above my head. I hear music in the air. There must be, sure gotta be, a God somewhere. They did not only see moments of feeling like motherless children, but they also saw a God who walked with them and a God who talked with them. Yes, they saw the lightning flash and the thunder roar, but they also heard a lingering voice that said, behold, I am with you and I will never leave you. Yes, they saw the death of an Emmett Till, but they also saw the birth of a Barack Obama. Yes, they saw back doors they had to go into, but they also saw front doors that they could create themselves. Yes, they saw black-owned water fountains, but they also saw Tuskegee Institute and Tuskegee Airmen that would be trained in the midst of seeing how things work. They also understood how great things could be. So when people told them to go home, they said, we can't go back because we made too much stuff since we got here. And if we go back, much of the stuff that belongs to us, we take it and you won't have anything left. Dr. King gave us that kind of vision in which he said, on the mountain, I see how things can become. But not only mountaintop moments, moments of visibility, and not only mountaintop moments, yes, but finally, mountaintop moments are moments of victory. Not just visibility and vision, but victory. Yeah. We know the bad news, but in the midst of the bad news, we know we have victory. We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed. Perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not abandoned. Struck down, but not destroyed. We have victory because the victory we have is a victory that's rooted in love, in God's love. A love that says, who shall separate us from the love of God? Shall trouble or hardship or persecution or famine or nakedness or danger? Oh, heaven no. And all these things, we are more than conquerors through the one who loved us. We have victory. King's last speech was symbolic of living in victory. So let me close by paraphrasing his words. Let victory ring. Let it ring from the snow-capped mountains, snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let victory ring from the slopes of California. Let victory ring from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Let victory ring from Lookout Mountain, Tennessee. King informed us to let victory, let it ring. I take my seat by sharing this little story with you. Back in the day, before, Bishop became bishop, and he was a student at Selma University. Had a deuce and a quarter. Had a deuce and a quarter. He had more car than we had money. And since you can't wean a car from gasoline, us had a problem. And we were riding in that deuce and a quarter one day, and that needle had bypassed E. But Bishop had been hanging around Mama Watts, who just believed and lay a hand on it, put a hand on it. And I remember Bishop and I were in that car, and that needle was leaning, but Bishop kept on putting his hand on it and looking at us and we're gonna be all right. That's all I've come to tell you this morning. I know it looks empty. I know it looks like we're giving up. If I had one time to holler, but I would have to tell you, we're gonna be all right.